host, Daddy Man.
Hey there, Mutant family. It is Friday night. It's your favorite Daddy Man in the kitchen, and that means it is time for this week's episode of Mutant Cafe. This week, in honor of Mutant Theater's first feature film, Chopping Mall, we are going to be making totally to the max corn dogs. An amazing little homemade corn dog, something you might find in the 80s in your food court. These are a lot better, a little healthier. They're fried items, so as healthy as you can possibly get. Just like we did last week, we're going to run through the ingredients first, so if you need to grab something, you got a little bit of time. This episode is a little longer than last episode because we are actually cooking. As you can see, I'm in front of my stove instead of where I was last week. You're only going to see the side of me. I want you to get a good look at the board over here and what's going on. Alright, so let's go through the ingredients. First thing, 8 hot dogs. Any hot dog you like. I use the kosher, all beef, organic hot dogs. That's just the way I like my meat. You can do whatever you want. Sausages are great. You could even do tofu if you wanted. If you're going to do tofu, you're going to want to kick the temperature up about 50 degrees, somewhere around there, and they're probably only going to take about a minute or two to cook up if you're using tofu. Tofu will break down in the oil, so we obviously don't want that. We'll get back to the hot dogs. You're also going to need half a cup of flour, which we got right here. 1.5 cups of cornmeal, which we got right here. I've got combined in here half a teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of sugar. You can use a little more than that. Typically, corn dogs have a little bit of a sweet taste to them, so that's up to you on your sweet tooth. Half a teaspoon of baking soda. That's all in here. You're going to need half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. That, again, like we said last week, that's up to your taste. I'm going to put a little more than that in there. You can put a little more, a little less. You can leave cayenne completely out. You can use a lot of different, you can go with dried herbs if you want to go. Cajun seasoning, anything you like that you think might go good with a corn dog, have at it. I've even seen recipes that have dried mustard in it, which is really good. You're going to put mustard on the top more than likely, unless you don't like it, so you might as well get it in there. You're also going to need 6 to 8 cups of oil in this pan. I'm using a lower pan than what you might be used to seeing when you're frying something. These are, you saw the hot dogs, they're not very tall. Never put the oil higher than half the height of your pan. You never want to put something into hot oil and it's so full that when you put something in there, all of a sudden it overflows. It's going to catch your flame under the pan, and you got a giant mess. So we got the oil in there. We got 2 tablespoons vegetable oil, or you can use peanut oil. We got 2 eggs. We have 1 1/4 cups of buttermilk that has been stirred up. It's been sitting for a little bit. Let's get that going again. Some salt, and you need your skewers. I've cut mine down to be just slightly larger than the hot dog itself. The other thing you need to check is when you put that together, and I've got one done, I'm going to show you how you do this. You need to make sure that it's not longer than this pan. That's going to be real messy when you got it all coated with the batter. You can't get it in the pan because it's too big. I think that's it for the ingredients. Get your oil on right now. I've got mine on medium over here. I wouldn't go any higher than medium. Ultimately, you're going to want to hit about 350 degrees. I've got a candy thermometer in there, which is telling me where I want to be. If you are unsure of what your temperature is, or if your temperature is ready, when we get that batter ready, you're going to take a little tiny spoon of the batter, and you're going to drop it right into that batter. If it immediately starts bubbling around the batter, then you got the temperature right if you don't have a candy thermometer. Candy thermometer is a couple bucks. It's actually worth having for a lot of different things, especially when you're frying. So, if you got your oil going, now what you need to do is you need to get your hot dogs out. I'm going to show you how to skewer these dogs. First thing, pat them dry. The drier, the better. You may even want to rinse them to depending on what kind of hot dog you're using. You just do not want these to be wet. If they're wet, the coating is not going to stick to the hot dog. I've actually had mine dried for about an hour, so they're, nice and dry. I got a couple of them skewered. Skewering them, really easy. Take a hot dog, get in your palm, right? Get that skewer right in the bottom. Gets a little wiggly. Make sure it's not pushing through. Don't break that skin. Leave a little bit at the end. Cool? Let's do one more. Hopefully you're doing them with me. Get it right in there. Don't break that skin. Almost broke that skin right there. Don't do it. Cool. Alright. Keep going. This recipe calls for 8 hot dogs. I got a few more than 8 here. Go ahead and keep skewering those. Get those out of the way. Alright, next. Alright, we are going to make the batter. Pretty much what we're doing here is we're making a cake. It's exactly how you would make a corn muffin, any kind of basic cake. The principle of making a cake is you're going to put your dry ingredients in a bowl, and then sometimes you're going to put your wet ingredients in a separate bowl, mix those together, and then you're going to combine. That's all you ever do when you're baking. Baking, everyone thinks is hard. It is hard. You got to make sure everything's measured out properly. That's it. The rest of it's easy. Dry in one bowl, wet in the next bowl, combine, and you're done. So that's all you're doing here. You're making nice little, not sweet cakes. All right, so we're going to go with our half cup of flour, which I moved. Half cup of flour in the bowl. 1.5 cups of cornmeal in the bowl. This is my half teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and half teaspoon of baking soda. Make sure your baking soda and your baking powder is as fresh as possible. It should never sit around for longer than a year. That's pretty much typical for any kind of baking item. The baking powder and baking soda is going to react when you throw it in the oil, and that's what's going to make it all puff up. So if it's sitting around for longer than a year, it may not puff as much as you want it. I always get the smallest containers. I buy big with everything else, but for this, buy a small container because you want to keep buying it so it's fresh. So get that in there. Enough explanation, I'm sure. Here we go with the cayenne. I'm doing a lot. I like it spicy. So there's the 1 teaspoon. Well, it's at a half teaspoon. That's 1 teaspoon. I'm going to go maybe 1.5. I don't want to blow it out. Alright, get that mixed together. That is all of your dry ingredients now. Just kind of mix it to incorporate. Doesn't have to be perfect. You're going to keep stirring it through all the process. So, but, do a little bit of the working out. Alright, next, the wet ingredients. You got your 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. Again, vegetable oil, peanut oil, any kind of basic, fairly clear kind of oil. Peanut oil has a great taste. Don't use it, obviously, if you have a peanut allergy, but it definitely gives a great taste to anything that you're frying. This is a real basic oil, vegetable oil. It doesn't have a taste. It just adds the wetness that you need. All right, 2 eggs, 1 at a time. 1 egg, and 2 eggs right in the bowl, right on. And finally, 1 1/4 cups of buttermilk. Buttermilk has a little bit of acid in there. That acid is going to act with the baking soda and baking powder. That's what's going to give you your puff. I'm going to use a spatula. You can use a whisk if you'd rather use that. You may use a whisk at the end. Break up your egg there. Really, y'all, that's it. I mean, it's not hard. Make sure it's really well combined. And then, when you're almost all the way combined, get those sides scraped down. Get a little bit of salt. A little bit of pepper, always. A lot of pepper for Daddy, man. keep that buttermilk cup handy, because we're going to need it. Look at that. It looks like cornmeal. If you've ever made corn muffins, anything like that, it's exactly what it looks like, and that's exactly what it is. Cool, cool. Now let's get back to, with a ladle. You're going to want to take that buttermilk glass, or a clean glass if you prefer. Get it in there to about 3/4, maybe a little taller than that. Actually, if you want to know exactly how much to put in there, a little bit of foreshadowing, but yep, that's about right. Alright. Easy peasy. Back to the hot dogs. To make sure they're completely dry, and to make sure that your batter sticks to your hot dogs, you're going to roll them in flour. That's all this is. 2 or 3 tablespoons of flour. I think the recipe had you holding 2 or 3 tablespoons aside. Get it nice and coated. Get that up for the camera. There you go. Nice and coated, even at end. A little hard where the stick end is. And then you're going to kind of, there we go. Beat it down a little bit. There. That's going to hold onto that batter really nice. Let's do a second one. We're going to do these 2 at a time. And when they're frying, you can do 2 more. Alright. There we go. There we go. Perfect. Knock them off. Don't worry if there's little spots. I mean, there's a big giant spot there not covered. Get it. But if there's tiny little spots, it's not the end of the world. Alright. That's it. We got your batter ready. We got 2 of your hot dogs ready. Let's check that oil. Oh yeah, we're way over 350. Don't go over 350. I'm going to drop this down for a minute. Just a little forewarning here. Once I get these hot dogs in the oil, I'm going to grab the camera. I'm going to flip it sideways, so get ready to turn your camera sideways. First, I'm going to take a little cocktail. Happy Friday, Mutant family. Alright. Who's ready to make these hot dogs? Just going to stick them in to the batter. Right in there. Stir them around. Make sure they're really coated. Look at that. Look at that. Shake them off. You don't want any excess. It starts falling off in the pan. Then it's going to cause a mess. Alright. Get ready for the camera work. We're going to grab that hot dog. And we're going to go right in the oil. Look at that. It's already browning up. Get your tongs. Nice and gentle. We're only going to go 2 or 3 minutes here. Oh, there goes the thermometer. That's all right. 2 or 3 minutes for these, so really depends on how brown you like them. See that? Beautiful. Beautiful. Hot dogs getting nice and warm in there. Look at that. Alright, let's say that one's done. And let's just get that onto a paper towel. Alright, we're gonna do it again. Make sure you got it. Ready for the second one? Obviously, if you're doing it at home, you could probably do two. But I'm trying to show you what I'm doing at the same time, so I want to make sure you're getting it. So, back in. Back in the glass. All over my fingers. Nice and coated. That one is not coating. Oh, you know why it's not coating? Because I didn't listen to a single thing I said and grabbed a non-flour hot dog. There we go. Well, that shows you what happens when you don't use a flour. Nothing sticks. There we go. There we go. Perfect. One more in here. Alright. Perfect. Let that all drip off. There we go. Alright. Delicious. Already? Now we're going to cook it. Who's ready to follow me? Ready? Back in that oil. Sorry. Back in that oil. Look at that. Little hush puppy for Daddy Man later. That's it. That's it. Check it out, everyone. That is your corn dog. Homemade, delicious, way better than what you get at the movie theater or at your mall food court. Those things have been sitting around getting nasty. That's fresh and delicious and perfect for tonight's movie, Chopping Mall. If you're watching us with Mutant Theater, 9 o'clock Eastern Time is Chopping Mall with special guests this week, Kelly Maroney and Barbara Crampton, both stars of the movie. That's exciting. And then at 11 o'clock, an amazing Lovecraftian movie. I don't know if many of you have seen it, called The Void. That is also a great movie. Always a good time. When you got those corn dogs, I did these earlier. Absolutely a little mustard, a little sriracha, and enjoy. Till next week, guys. Thanks for cooking with me.